Hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm Esmeralda Zamora and this is KXCN Live Headlines at Noon. Today we're going to go ahead and start off talking about a pedestrian crash that happened early this morning. A pedestrian was struck and killed by a vehicle at the 1000 block of West William Cannon Drive. The Austin Police Department says the call came in at 12:52 a.m. It is still unclear at this time what caused the deadly crash, and APD did not say if the driver stayed on the scene. Part of William Cannon was closed near the area where the crash occurred during that investigation. And also last night on Palmer Lane, firefighters rescued a person and their cat as smoke and flame enveloped their home. They responded at around 11 last night in North Austin in a neighborhood off West Palmer Lane, west of Mopac. AFD said that they treated one adult and two cats, and the crews were able to put the fire out and are still investigating the cause of that fire. And yesterday, if you missed our full recap of the presidential Biden visit to the presidential LBJ library, here's a little recap. Yesterday, the president made his way to Austin to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 at the LBJ Presidential Library. In case you missed it, during his event and his speech, he touched on three key points, and those were he called for 3 bold reforms to restore trust and accountability to the justice system. He called for term limits for Supreme Court justices, a binding code of conduct for the Supreme Court, and a constitutional amendment called the No One is Above the Law Amendment.
We can and must prevent the abuse of presidential power and restore faith in the Supreme Court. We can and must strengthen the guardrails of democracy.
He also shared some positive words for his acting Vice President Kamala Harris, who he has endorsed as the next Democratic presidential candidate following his announcements to step down from the race. And following that visit, not everyone welcomed President Biden's visit to Austin with open arms. The Austin for Palestine Coalition hosted a car caravan protest from the streets of East Austin up to I-35. At least 20 cars drove through protesting. Organizers say they're frustrated with the Biden administration's response to the Israel-Palestine conflict.
We are just trying to be as visible as we can in the area surrounding the LBJ Center and to drive around and have people see our message.
Earlier this month, President Biden said both Israel and Hamas agreed to the framework of a multi-stage proposal the president laid out that pushes for ceasefire and to bring hostages home. The last steps move towards a major reconstruction plan for Gaza and includes the return of the remains of dead hostages to their families. And now jumping into a very popular topic, we have weather with Mr. Rich Siegel. Thanks so much for joining us, Rich.
Good to be with you.
Yeah, what can you tell us about the weather today?
Well, it took about 10 minutes to put a forecast together today because when you don't have any rain or hardly any rain in the forecast, then you're just trying to determine how hot it's going to get. We know we're going to be back in the upper 90s today. Let's go to the maps. We'll start out with a live look from the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in South Austin. Sun and clouds continue to play tag. We'll see a little more clearing during the afternoon. Update on our Highland Lakes. I always like to show this because of the rise that we've seen at Lake Travis since last Tuesday. Travis now at 641.95, and the increase is just above 7 1/3 feet since last Tuesday. Buchanan is still holding steady at 1007.19. Combined storage of the lakes, our drinking water supply, 58%, 1,155,000 plus acre feet of water. This was one of those days that you probably, if you're a mold sufferer, will likely spend indoors, because the mold escalated from yesterday. It's very high today. Fall elm is medium, a little lower today than yesterday. The grass pollen came up appreciably. It's in medium levels today, and a trace of ragweed showed up once again. All right, our current temperatures, the data from Dripping Springs and Austin obviously missing. So most of our readings right now are in the 80s. We'll call it mid to upper 80s at most locations, up to, though, a pair of 90-degree readings. One is at Llano and the other one at Rockdale. As we get further into the afternoon, most of our highs today will peak in a general range of 93 to 97. Some with fewer clouds may get to 98, maybe even 99 today. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, our readings will be in the mid to upper 80s. That's just right after the sun goes down. Tomorrow morning, another warm and oppressively humid day with most lows in the upper half of the 70s, a few mid-70s out in the hill country. And then tomorrow, we get closer to 100. As a matter of fact, some of our reporting stations may get to triple digits. There may be fewer clouds tomorrow as an area of high pressure settles further into the state. Yesterday, our lowest humidity came during the mid to late afternoon, and that should happen again today. Lowest forecast humidity today in the 40s, and for Austin, 40%. It's a little drier for San Saba, Mason, and Llano, and a little more humid in parts of Lee and Fayette counties, and so that's the humidity report for today. Heat indices this afternoon, once again, back in that general range of about 102 to 106 on the highest end, these between about 3 and 5 o'clock. And look to Milam County for the only heat advisory that's in effect. Milam County, handled by the Fort Worth National Weather Service Office, under a heat advisory until 8 o'clock for the potential that the heat index at reporting stations there could get as high as 106. And there's the culprit. That high moving off the Gulf, traveling into Texas, parking overhead for a few days, heads out to the west, and then kind of meanders back and forth between the Rockies and the Great Basin in Nevada, but it's going to maintain a presence in our weather for several days to come. And as a matter of fact, we still are only looking at very low rain chances on Sunday and Monday. This is the European model's depiction of the precipitation that we may see. This starts at 4 o'clock on Sunday, lasts until about midnight or so, and then there'll be a break. Then we get another dose of rain beginning late Monday afternoon into Monday night, and for now we keep next Tuesday dry. There won't be much measured, maybe about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. No change in the humidity, too. It's going to be oppressive in the morning with the dew points nearing the actual air temperature, but we do see subtle drops in each afternoon, and we leave the oppressive category during the afternoon. So humid, some will call it very humid. You can call it whatever you'd like, and we'll be happy for you to do that. All right, the Saharan dust layer, we're going to see a little more of it starting as early as maybe this afternoon, but definitely into tonight. Look at that bright yellow hue that we have over Austin and most of the eastern part of the state, and that will continue on Thursday. And then we start to see it thin out a little bit as we get to Friday, but we'll see low levels of it for Saturday and Sunday. This is going to cause deteriorating air quality today, moderate. Tomorrow, the air quality forecast already from the TCEQ says that particulate matter will be unhealthy for some groups. It'll be in that orange shade tomorrow. That certainly is not good news. And so if you are sensitive to the fine dust, you will want to spend the bulk of your time inside. Not much going on in the Atlantic. There is one system that has a 60% chance of development. It's headed towards the Windward Islands, 60% chance over the next 7 days. There is a stronger system in the Pacific. There you see at 90% probability. This one well off the south coast of Mexico, and it's going to move to the west, so no threat to land at all. Okay, finally, the one graphic that everybody wanted to see. Today, we'll go partly cloudy this afternoon, high 97, breezes from the south. Hazy sunshine Wednesday, Thursday, highs deep into the 90s to near 100. And then Esme will be in triple digits Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the low rain chances on Sunday afternoon and evening and Monday afternoon and evening.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that forecast. I know you mentioned that we're going to have a bit of Saharan dust. What can you tell me about dangers to anyone who might have a compromised immune system and what they can do to be safe?
Well, the answer to that is if you are sensitive and if you do have respiratory issues, you will want to spend the majority of your day indoors to avoid being out with all that dust that is in the air. Also, if you are outdoors, I would recommend wearing a mask. That will mitigate a little bit of that dust settling in your lungs. So I would just say either spend most of the day inside, but if you have to venture outdoors, a mask will do you well.
Okay, and now we're going to jump to our viewer weather captures.
Ooh.
These are 2 photos we got in from yesterday. I'm guessing the first one is from the presidential landing. This is Air Force One. It seems to be our pictures today are very, very cloudy, not much like yesterday's pictures with a few rain spots here and there.
Right.
Can we expect more pictures like this throughout the week?
I think that as we get further into time, we'll see fewer clouds in the sky during the mid and late afternoon hours. Right now, what we have is we have a lot of dry air in the upper atmosphere, but in the middle and lower levels of the atmosphere, we're seeing a bit more cloud cover because we're getting this evaporation from the ground from all the rain that fell last week.
Nice. Well, I just want to remind everyone that we do have a email that they can send in any weather-related questions or photos. That's reported@kxen.com. And Mr. Rich himself can save those, and we can save them for our next weather.
We'll talk about that Monday morning at 9:30. One of the things that I would like to recommend is if you have a question, any question at all about our weather app, there's a problem that you want us to try to help you solve. If you are able to grab a screenshot of it and include that in your email, that will make it easier for our IT guru to troubleshoot. So, and again, reported at kxan.com. I have some questions in the hopper now that we'll answer on Monday morning, but we'll always take more.
Yes, we will. Well, thanks so much, Rich, for joining me today. That was amazing. Great forecast. I can't wait to jump back on this next Monday.
Absolutely.
And that's all we have for y'all today here on KXAN Live. Remember, we will have noon headlines every single day at noon for these top stories headlining since the Olympics is playing on our main channel throughout the morning. So don't forget to come here, KXAN Live, on Facebook, on our website, on our app, to get the latest details. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Esmeralda Zamora.